Welcome to my reading corner, and I decided to do a book haul today. And I'm basically going to do December through January because January is almost over. There's one more day after the day of January, and then we are into February, the month of Valentine's Day. And some of these, I'm not sure if I got them in December. I'm pretty sure I remember the ones I got in January, but some of them I think I got them in December, but I might have got them in November before that. And even then, there's some books on here that I might have gotten sooner. And I'm not including the Christmas books. These are all the books that I bought myself. The Christmas books I've done a video, I think I did, where I talked about the books I got for Christmas. Well, not just the books, but all the gifts I got for Christmas. These are not in order, in any particular order. I'm just gonna grab them as I see them. Okay, so this one I think I was early. If I did get this one in December, it's early December. Like, I don't know if it was before or after Christmas. It might have been before Christmas that I got this one. But I'm slowly collecting Stephen King books. I almost bought Misery today. But it's very hard because I try not to get one too many books. Like, even getting 4 books is a bit much. So I try to at least get 3 books at the most. But today I actually ended up getting 2 books. Because one of them was a hardback. And it was a new hardback, one that just came out a few months ago. But either before Christmas or right after Christmas, I bought this. And I like these editions a lot better. I've said before that I don't have anything against mass market paperback because it's cheaper and they're smaller, so they're easy to carry around with you. Like, have it in your purse when you go driving or you're taking a trip or something. Or when you go to work. Like, I bring a book with me to work, and since I only get like a 15-minute break, there's no point in me getting a locker. So I just make sure I get one that can fit in like a lunch pail. So a book this size I couldn't bring with me to work. And I don't drive. I'm incapable of actually being able to drive. Maybe one day I will, but I really like this. But ideally, I like this size of a book, especially these really long books. And we know Stephen King writes long books. And this is Needful Things. And this was one of, I might have already talked about this book on here before. But this was a book that Jess reads books. She's one of my favorite booktubers. She's a fan of Stephen King. Her and Natasha, My Reading is Odd. It's another channel who loves Stephen King. She was the one who got me to read, who told me about this, she didn't directly tell me, but she had talked about The Stand, and she's kind of my inspiration for reading that, for starting to read that one. But Jess Reads Books talked about how great this book is, and if you guys are a fan of, whether you stopped watching it like I did, or you watched it all the way through, if you're a fan of Once Upon a Time, when Jess talked about this book in I don't know if you would call him an antagonist or a protagonist, but the main character of this book, what is his name? Leland Gaunt reminded me of Rumple. The way she talked about him, he has this little shop and people go to him for help and he makes a deal with them, kind of thing. And it just made me think of Rumple. And I have a feeling when I read this book, I'm going to be picturing Robert Carlyle as Leland, even if he's not described that way. That's what I like to do. I guess in a way I'm fan casting, where I'll pick an actor that I think would fit the part. Like in the Mistborn trilogy, I was picturing one of the teen actors from Gotham as Vin, which it's young Selena Kyle, the actress who plays young Selena Kyle, as the character Vin, because they kind of seem very similar in personality. And I can just, in the way she's described, she doesn't have curly hair, and I imagine like Vin's, I don't know if Vin's hair is darker or than the actress who plays Selena, but that's what I pictured when I was reading that book. So, like I said, when I read this, I think I might be picturing Robert Carlyle as the part. But I'm really interested in this because I like Rumple. He's one of my favorite characters on Once Upon a Time, and just I like the idea of like these people that don't seem that on the surface they don't seem like powerful and dangerous because they're not necessarily like physically scary looking, but they're a person that you don't want to mess with. And the whole idea of the little antique shop or small little shop with all these old things, and I think I always liked that's one of my oddly Pacific tropes that I really like. But that would be another video. So this is like I said, I got this one in December, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. That's why I couldn't decide between that one and The Stand. But my friends recommended The Stand. My friends on Facebook, or at least the people I know on Facebook, not necessarily. But I also decided, I knew that I was, I had to have gotten this book after Christmas. Because I asked for, on my Amazon wishlist, I asked for 2 Brandon Sanderson books. I decided to wait on Oathbringer and not get that one. Like, I guess I am kind of being influenced by BookTube a little bit because, well, I'm influenced by BookTube a little more than a little bit, but, like, I'm starting to get a little more particular about, like, or at least my reasoning for not buying a book is because it's not the same size as the rest of the books in the series, or, I'm trying to make them all match or something. Like, I mean, again, I don't care as much as some booktubers, but I am starting to care a little bit more about the aesthetic of my shelves. So this had to have been an after Christmas purchase because I couldn't, I had to be careful what I bought because I didn't want to buy anything that was on my list because it was, I didn't know what I was going to get for Christmas, and as far as books. So I ended up So after Christmas, I bought, because I got Elantris. I don't know if it's Elantris or Elantris. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Elantris. I don't know, but, so I ended up, because I got Elantris for Christmas, I got this one, Warbreaker, which, as of right now, I think this is a standalone, but I think that he's gonna write more books in this one, but I think he's focusing on, the Stormlight Archives and the Mistborn books. This is... Okay, so a world, a very colorful city ruled by, people that are reborn as gods. You have the God King, and I guess I think this is the one where the guy sends off his daughter to marry the God King, and she originally wasn't the one he was supposed to marry. Oh, and there's the one character that I'm told is really funny and entertaining, that he's a god, but he's skeptical of his own divinity. Like, he's not sure why he's a god or something. I've been told a lot about that character. Like, he's a really funny and entertaining character, very snarky. So I think I'm still reading the Mistborn, the original trilogy. I'm on the Hero of Ages, so I need to finish that one. And then I think I'm gonna go ahead, after I finish that trilogy, I might read Elantris, and then get to this one. Like, get the 2 standalone books read, and then, or at least they're currently standalone books, and then read the Stormlight Archives, I think. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm so excited because they have like the way people talk about these books, and I've really enjoyed Mistborn so far. I've really loved it, and just the way people talk about Brandon Sanderson, his books, it gets me excited. I'm thinking, oh, I want to read, I want to read Stormlight Archives right now. I want to read this one right now, or Elantris right now. Although I'm told Elantris is not his best because it was like his first book that he ever published, so his writing isn't the same as it is in Mistborn or in this one. But I'm not like I probably won't. I probably won't even notice that. It probably won't bother me when I start reading it. I mean, maybe I would notice it. I feel like I won't. But this book it's cheaper and it's easier to carry around with me to go in places. So far all my Brandon Sanderson books will be books that I can actually take with me to work during my breaks. This is one of the ones that I wasn't sure when I got this one. I wasn't sure if it's one that one second. Okay, so this next one, I don't know, I can't remember if I got this one back in November or December. But that is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. This was again another one where this was one that I know I've mentioned their names several times, but I really do take a lot of their recommendations to heart. And that, which is it was recommended by Olive from a Book Olive. I think this was the book that she reads every year, and this might be one of the ones that I've talked about before, along with Needful Things. But this is also a Pulitzer Prize winner. And it's different. It's a little different. And and I got it from the Gibbons bookstore, used bookstore, so it's cheap. So even if I ended up not liking it, it wasn't that expensive, like $4 or $3. It might have been $3 because it was it's a paperback, yeah. So I think it was $3. So it wasn't that expensive. So it's even if I don't like it, it's only $3. I only spent $3 on it. So I don't really know what this one was about without reading the summary, and I don't want to waste time like I kind of just did. I did read the first couple sentences. I don't know much about this, but I figure it's got to be good. I mean, of course, like I said, it just might not be my thing. But either way, I'm gonna read it. It sounds interesting. And like I said, Olive, who is a booktuber that I trust her judgment, said this was a great book. And again, it's something different for me, so I'm willing to try things and experiment. I mean, there's some books that I'm just gonna outright be like, no, I'm never gonna read that book. Oh, that's another one. Where is it? There's one more that I forgot to take off. If I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. There's one more I forgot. That I also bought. Where is it? It's right here. It's gotta be around here somewhere. Oh, I see it. Oh wait, no, that's an old book. Never mind. I got that earlier last year. So that doesn't count. I think. Okay, well, may as well show this one to you guys. This one I got in January. The Art of Fielding by Chad Harbach. Harbach? I don't know. At first, because I'd seen this book in the used bookstore before, and at first I dismissed it because that was about baseball. But I read the description, and it sounds like something like A Separate Peace. I don't remember who the author of that one is, or like I was just thinking of it, or The Secret History by Donna Tartt, or there's been a couple movies that make me think of this book. It's just instead we were this like instead it just but it's also about baseball. Are these guys on a baseball team? Like one of those stories that like coming of age, these these pretentious young men who are on a baseball team, it's about their lives and something happens or something like that. One of those kind of stories. And like I said, at first I was thinking, oh, it's about baseball or whatever, but I mean there's movies about this kind of stuff that I actually kind of enjoy. Like I like The Legend of Bagger Vance. That's about golf, and I'm not really a fan of golf. I mean, although I wouldn't entirely dismiss learning how to play golf because it's one of my dad's favorite hobbies. I just haven't taken the time to actually ask him to take me up there to the range or anything, and it's never been. So yeah, it's again another book that normally I wouldn't buy it, but it just that day I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. And this one, I don't know if I got this one November or December. But I've been collecting some of the Charles Dickens books in mass market paperback, or just regular paperback. And that is Great Expectations. This is the Bantam Classic version. I don't know much. With an introduction by John Irving. It's the guy who wrote the Sane House Rules. What I know is this young boy is taken in by this elderly lady, and she teaches him manners, and she educates him, and he falls for like her snobby granddaughter, I think, and as an adult, he ends up inheriting some money, thinking it's from the old lady, so that he can marry her granddaughter. But I think it just turns out it's all BS, and that she doesn't really care about him. I am very nervous about Charles Dickens because he can be a very dry writer. I mean, even though as much as I love, I might want to read this because it's the little introduction by John Irving. It says why I like Charles Dickens, why some people don't. I should read that. I normally don't like reading those beginning introductions, but that one might be interesting. But I still want to read it because I have taken Granted, these editions aren't that expensive, but I liked his book, A Tale of Two Cities. I even did like a kind of a report type of thing on it, and I enjoyed that one. So I feel like I want to continue giving him a shot, and he's one of those authors next to Stephen King that I want to get more into, and like, but his writing style is very dry and very wordy. So I would be very nervous that I wouldn't be able to get into it, and basically I would have wasted my money. Even though, like I said, at Gibbons it's not that expensive, but still. I mean, I have like a perfectly good bind up of a handful of his novels, but I can't take that bind up with me places. So it's more aesthetic. It's more of an aesthetic purchase, that book. So I don't know if I got that one either November or December. So some of these might be November purchases, not December purchase, but again, I don't remember. If I went to book hauls, I should do a note in my phone of that, so I can remember which books, so if I ever decide to film a book haul, then I'll know. Okay, so next. So I bought some Stephen King. I think these two also might have been November purchases, and I think some of them I might have already shown you guys in like a book haul or some other video. But these are two other Stephen King books that I bought from Gibbons. there were a few other Stephen Kings there yesterday when I went, but I was trying to restrict myself to at least only getting 2 paperbacks, particularly the mass market paperbacks, because those are like only $2. But I ended up getting this was another one of those ones where I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy it or not. I thought it was going to be a science fiction book, but like I thought the cell was a reference to like a cell in your body, but no, it's actually a reference to a physical cell phone. And this guy, I guess, finds the cell phone. Like this famous, I think he's a writer. I'm assuming he's a writer, and he's doing really well for his family. Wants to get his family some gifts, but then something, I guess, happens, and like kind of it might be like a kind of a apocalypse type situation. And I think he finds like a cell phone or something. There's a reason cell rhymes with hell. So I guess something's going to happen with the cell phone. It's going to change his life in a very bad way, in a very scary way. But it definitely, when I realized it wasn't about like the cells in your body, so it wasn't like a science fiction-y kind of thing, I ended up buying it. And like I said, it's much more expensive to buy unless they're on clearance. You can't buy hardback books at a regular bookstore that's for cheap. They're usually $20 to $30. Like I bought a hardback book I should not have bought today, but it was the sequel to a book I was finishing up that I'm gonna finish in the next couple days. Possibly I do, so it would technically be a January book, or I might purposely drag it out and just finish it on February 1st or 2nd, so I won't feel bad if I don't include it as a January book. But I guess it doesn't matter because it's not like official or legal or anything. But yeah, so as you can see, it's a hardback book. So I was gonna, the hardbacks there are like $4 or $5. It's like, what the heck? What the hell? Why don't I get a hardback book? So, except for, like I said yesterday, I was trying to avoid that. I was trying not to get, because I think they are having a sale. You buy one, you get one free, but I think the expensive one would be the one that you would buy, and then the cheap one you would get for free, I think. So. And then the other Stephen King book, I might, like I said, I don't know if I got this in November or December, but that is, actually, I might not have gotten that one in wintertime anyway. I might have got this one in the fall time, so this might not count. But I got Bag of Bones, and I've seen the movie, the TV movie starring Pierce Brosnan as the title character, as the main character. But no, this is one I think I might have already talked about. But like this guy, his wife dies, and he returns to the vacation town, the town where him and his wife used to vacation, I believe, and he's still kind of grieving. I think it's been 4 years since she died, and he's still grieving and everything, and he's trying to write a book, but he keeps being haunted by her memory. So when he returns to the lakeside town where they used to vacation, he starts bonding with the guy who kind of owns the town, his granddaughter and daughter. And of course, there is a romance, I believe. So it's kind of a ghost story, I think, if I remember correctly. Because like I said, I watched the TV movie. I think it's a movie. It might have been a miniseries. But I remember when it came out because it had Pierce Brosnan as the main guy. and I enjoyed it. Now I know, of course, like Stephen King movies are not always that great. The miniseries are better, but he puts so much detail and he writes such in-depth stories that it's kind of hard to cover in even in a miniseries. Like, I almost feel like a series, just a regular series, is better if you want to put his books to screen. And I think he even said he'd rather The Stand not be put on screen, and he'd rather people just use their imaginations. But in the introduction of my copy of The Stand, he does talk about who he would cast. And I know that he said, I can't remember. I can picture the actor. I think his first name is Robert, not Robert De Niro. Or Robert Redford. It's Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall. That's who he pictured as Randall Flagg. I believe that's what he said. But anyway, that's the one I'm reading currently. But I might stop, and who knows? I might have no exercise, no self-control, and end up going straight to. But I might save Needful Things until June, because I'll be going on a cruise towards the end of June, like the last week or so of June. So, and of course, I figured out that I probably need to bring a book besides with me when I go on a cruise. Although, because my parents let me invite a friend, that might change. I might end up not reading the book at all. Who knows? But, okay. I also got some of the books on my list. These were books Amelia purchases, because Gibbons would not have these books. And that is this one. I think I got this right after Christmas. And this I didn't realize it. Actually, I might have got this one before Christmas. Actually, no, this one I don't think this one counts, because I think this was a before Christmas purchase. But this is Sword of Destiny. And if you're familiar with the Witcher game, these are the books that the video game is based off of. This guy Geralt is a witcher, and he's a man who hunts monsters, I think. And I didn't know this, but this first book is a bunch of short novellas. Like, it's not an actual one big novel, I think. I think it's like a bunch of short novellas. And I got the second one. Oh, wait, this is the second one, and this is the first one. The Last Wish, where we're introduced to the character of Geralt. And this was the one that has all the short stories in it, or novellas. And I guess I'm kind of been reading a lot more of those lately. I ended up buying a lot more, because my book series Orcs is actually like that too, I believe. The books are there. I have a bind of them. And then, one second. Sorry, once again I'm getting interrupted. This video is getting way too long. Okay, come on, go on. Go see mommy. Go on. Go see mommy. Go. Sophie, go. Go on. I guess my dog's hungry or something. Maybe my dog's hungry. I don't know. But I also got this. This is one I asked for Christmas, but I didn't get it for Christmas. But this is the sequel to Leviathan Wakes. Caliban's War. And I think it's considered a space opera. And I've said in previous videos I want to get more into sci-fi, so I've been reading more sci-fi lately. The book that I mentioned earlier that I ended up buying a hardback of the hardback sequel today. That is Renegades. And that's one of the superhero stories. So I consider that sci-fi, because it's people with psychic powers, and to me they're more science fiction-y rather than supernatural. Which I think if I had more mean, once I get more, one day I think I would like to make a video where I talk about all the books I've read. One day, do a video of the books that I've read that are like comic book based or comic book and like their stories are like something out of a comic book, except for they're written in a novel form. Because I mean, people translate novels, regular novels, into graphic novels all the time. They always like I think the Shadowhunters Chronicles has been turned into a graphic novel. But this is the sequel, and again, I haven't got very far in the first book, Leviathan Wakes. But from what I remember, so what I've read so far, like this ship, I think, is attacked, and this guy dies, and the captain of the crew the guy comes from, he thinks it's the people from Mars that have killed that are responsible for this guy's death, so he sends a message out, a revenge type message, but then he gets in trouble for that, and there's this detective who's trying to find this girl, and I guess there's a connection between his case, and the guy that got killed. So so far that's what I've determined. But it's a very dense book, and I'm not 100% focused on it, so, but, you get excited when you want to read a book right in the moment, so that's why I end up being one of those booktubers who reads a lot of books at the same time. So this is the sequel to that one, Leviathan Wakes is the first one, and this is called Caliban's War, and I think this is a 2-author series, because I think James S.A. Corey stands for 2 people, just like, there's another book where it's written by 2 authors, and they just combine their names. Oh, I think there's a contemporary, young adult contemporary, or adult contemporary, or romance. Oh, Christina Lauren. That's another author that does that. That they're actually 2 authors, and they just combine their names, and the name is Christina Lauren, which it does sound like a name, and so does this one. These could be the part of the middle name, but although most people only have one middle name, unless they use both their original middle name and their married middle name, because when you get married, you take your spouse's name, your husband's name, but then this is a guy, so he wouldn't do that unless he was, but anyway, but it is 2 authors, I believe. And this is also based on a sci-fi series, a series on TV, so I might watch that series one day. But it's not going to be for a long time. Okay, so next is, let's see. So this is another one that, so these are 2 books that I either got, again, in December or November. Finally bought this. I bought this at Books A Million, because at the time I still hadn't seen it at Gibbons, but then after I bought it, I actually saw it at Gibbons in the little classic, the shelf, the tiny shelf, because it's kind of small. I mean, it's tall, but it's not that many shelf space, and I actually saw it there. I think either I saw it there or I saw it amongst all the regular shelves. It was kind of like, really? Someone finally provided you guys with another copy of Rebecca, and I had spent the money and bought it at the bookstore at Books A Million. It's like, really? But yeah, this is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and this is one of those ones where I've heard about quite a bit, where this woman, she's going on, I think it's actually like a cruise, and she meets this handsome rich dude. They have this whirlwind romance, get married, but then she finds out he's a widower, and his wife Rebecca basically haunts this woman, and like everybody loved Rebecca, and the memory of her is still fresh in people's minds. And you don't know you don't know the woman's name or anything. So Rebecca's, and so it's basically a mystery, which I prefer mysteries over thrillers. I mean, I've made exceptions, like I think The Dark Path is considered a thriller. I should look that up. I should go on Goodreads and see if The Dark Path was a thriller. But, and the only thing I liked about, and why I enjoyed that one, but that was because it wasn't just a thriller, it was also had a little bit of a supernatural element to it. But anyway, I can't wait to read this. I don't know when I'll read it. I do need to read a classic, but I'm kind of reading two classes. I'm in the middle of two classes right well, not even in the middle. I mean, I'm at the beginning of two classics. I've like, which is Crime and Punishment and A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, which is a modern classic. I did not read classic this month, and I didn't read classic in January, so I need to read one. Either way, and then the other one is David Hewson's Carnival for the Dead. Oh, actually, no, this one definitely doesn't count because I got this earlier last year. Because I put on I guess I was thinking about this and thinking I got this more recently because when I was typing it, I like to type up my list of the books that are on my shelves. And I remember typing this, and so maybe that's why I was thinking I got this a lot sooner. So I got this way back in the middle of I'm trying to think, I can't remember which month, but there was a month where they had a sale where you could buy one sci-fi book and get one free, and of course the fantasy books were considered sci-fi, and I didn't even though I don't agree with that, I didn't correct them because it's a sale. You know, you buy one, you get one free, so I wasn't gonna miss out on that, even though I don't agree with that. Fantasy is the same as science fiction. So this is Carnival. Like I said, I got this way back earlier than December, way before December. And I don't know, I mean, I did read the back, but I don't remember what it said, and I don't want to waste any more time because this is a really long video, but it sounded like a really good, interesting, creepy story, and I find that I'm liking stories about carnivals and like circuses and stuff like that, and I want to read more books like that. There is a Something Wicked This Way Come. I saw the movie years ago at a friend's house. She invited a handful of us to her house for sleepover, and then we watched that movie. It's a really old movie, and I want to say I can't remember. I think it's Ray Bradbury who wrote the book. And I liked the movie. It was very creepy and really, really cool. So I want to read that book. But this sounded really fun, and from what I remember, and plus it was at the time, like I said, there was a sale for like buy one sci-fi get one free, or maybe get two free. But anyway, yeah. Plus, I thought I really liked the cover. It kind of reminded me of Phantom of the Opera, which I have Phantom of the Opera now. I got that one last year at some point, and I meant to read it this year, or I might have got it back in 2017. And I meant to read it in 2018, but I never got around to it. So I'm gonna read that one soon. Maybe I should read that one and come back to those other two, because with the size of Phantom of the Opera, it looks like I can get through that one a little bit quicker. But anyway, so that one doesn't technically count, but here it is. Next, these were books I bought before Christmas. I know for a fact I did because I went to Books A Million. My mom allowed me to, drop me off at Books A Million, and of course I couldn't get any of the books that were on my Amazon wish list because I didn't know which ones I was gonna get for Christmas. So I ended up getting, first I got this one, Legends of the Dragon Realm. And I think this is another one of those bind-up books where they have novellas in one big book. And it's about dragons. And I was like, you know what? I want to read more books about dragons, and not just those like fun, silly, middle grade books, but real gritty, dark ones. Kind of like George R. R. Martin's version. So, I saw this one. At first I thought it had to do with R.A. Salvatore because there's a blurb on here from him, full of energy, great world building, and memorable characters. It's easy to see why Richard has enjoyed so much success. And then I realized this guy, Richard A. Knaak, is the author. So I don't know why. It's just I saw that Ari Salvatore on the cover, and I was like, ooh. But so I bought this, and then there's a second volume. So next time I went to Books A Million, I got volume 2. And the good news is it's a bind up of all these books in one big book, so I don't have to buy all these books individual. And again, because it's about dragons, it's more adult, darker book about dragons. Not just those fun little, silly little middle grades. Okay. Which I love those too, but I mean, next. So, there's a little town outside of the one we live in called, I can't remember what it's one that I go there, we will sometimes go there to, eat or do a little bit of shopping, little small town, mostly shopping. I mean, there is suburbs, of course, but, we go there to shop, and I went to the little country bookstore, and, that one doesn't have, it's not like, the selection is, it has a little bit more variety than the Givens, but it's still small compared to Books A Million. Books A Million is the biggest one, and even Books A Million here is kind of small. But, so I ended up getting this one, The Lost Queen, and I remember by Signe Pike. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but this is one I remember hearing about. Because, I mean, it's obviously hasn't been out that long because it's still in hardback. But I'm told this is kind of about the woman that was Merlin's sister, or the sister of the man that that inspired the character of Merlin in the Arthurian legend. And so it's described as Outlander meets Mist of Avalon. And it just sounded really interesting and fun, and it's a trilogy. So, another to add, on here at the top it says Outlander meets Camelot, actually. So, and I love it when they have stories that are set kind of medieval, but have elements of magic. I did used to have Mist of Avalon, but then I got rid of it because it's a big series, and I didn't know if I was gonna be interested or not. And I was, I have to kind of get rid of books, donate books. So, I had to make a choice, and I ended up donating this. I ended up donating my 2 from that series. So, I bought this from the country bookstore. It's the only, and it was one of these things where my mom was like, only buy one book. So, I ended up buying, this is the book I chose. Plus, it's a hardback, so, you don't want to, problem with hardbacks is, I mean, although some people, I envy those people who feel like who are comfortable with buying 10, 20 books. I mean, maybe they accumulate 10, 20 books over, a month, or, over a few months, like I do. But as of right now, it looks like they're able to buy, that many books. Of course, I think most of those people, though, I think they ended up buying them for cheap at the Book Outlet, which is a cheaper place online where you can buy books. I'm sure you guys have heard of Book Outlet, and they're having sales all the time, so. But I imagine you have to sign up for the site at least, or at least use someone's coupon code to make any purchases. And this is one of the comic book based stories that I bought. This is another one of those cases where I kept seeing this. I saw this more than once at Gibbons, and at first I dismissed it, but then the other day I was like, you know what, I'm going to check this out, because it's The Amazing Adventures of Kevlar and Clay, and like I said, I'm really enjoying Renegades right now, and it sounds like, like Renegades in a way, but done in a novel, and it's named one of the best books, one of the 10 best books of the decade by Entertainment Weekly. It just looked really cool. I really love the cover. It kind of looks 60-ish. Oh, and it's a winner of a Pulitzer Prize. So it's a prize winner. but the cover makes me think of the 60s a little bit, like those older comics. And that's the same with Renegades, with that cover too. It looks very 60s comic book. But yeah, I keep thinking about this book because I'm reading Renegades right now, so it's inspiring me to read this one. Stupid door. And then let's see next. Okay, this one I bought at the beginning of January. We were visiting my grandma and for her birthday, and we went to my mom. If you go, like, if you've heard of Costco or BJ's, it's like, you buy stuff in bulk there, so it's good when you need if you need a lot of stuff, like certain foods that you need in bulk, or like toilet paper, or like toothpaste or something. It's like good for that. And they do have a small book section, so I looked at the books, and this was really the only one that interested me and got me kind of excited. And this is George R. Martin's Fire and Blood. This is the book he wrote. He's written since he's not done with the last two books in Throne of Glass. I was just gonna call it Throne of Glass. Every time I see Thrones, I think of Throne of Glass, but it's not. It's Song of Ice and Fire series, but the show is called Game of Thrones, and the first book is called Game of Thrones. And this is kind of about the Targaryen family before the Robert's Rebellion, before the Baratheon War. Before Robert Baratheon took the throne from Aerys the Second or the Third. I can't remember, but the Mad King. And this is kind of about the Targaryen family, about Daenerys Targaryen's family. It's kind of a history. It's kind of like a history book in a way, but fun because it's about Westeros. And this hardback one has pictures, like sketches within the book. It's sometimes this one of the appealing things about buying a hardback edition of a book, because it actually has some of the hardback books will have things like sketches inside the book, or like special, like this stuff like this, like Sarah J. Maas's books. Now lately, whenever a new book comes out, her books have that, that was one of the books, her Kingdom of Ash, I almost bought once again, but I still haven't gone to Empire of Storms yet, so that's my excuse. So I bought this, or my mom bought it for me. But we call it even because she borrowed money from me, so she was like, you know what, I bought that book for you, so that's how you're paying me back, by me buying this book for you. Because I think it was the same price as the money she borrowed from me. So next, I bought these two books. These two were on my Christmas list because I bought the first one of this one. These are sequels to books I already bought last year. Again, this is another situation where they have novellas in one big bind up, which I think is really cool. And, imagine all these stories all the stories in each volume in one big book. That would be huge. So what's really cool about this series, it started out as an ebook. So I feel very happy that the author, his books were able to be turned into actual books and not just ebooks. And sometimes it gets, because I don't really use my Nook that much, and, if I don't have a gift card, then I can't get anything. I don't have a Barnes & Noble gift card, so I can't get anything on my Nook. So I won't be able to read Cassandra Clare's, her new set of novellas until they all come out in one big bind up. So it's kind of annoying. It's like, why do you have to put, I know ebooks are the new thing and everything, but come on. Not everybody, of course most people do, so it's like I'm kind of part of a minority. But yeah, so I'm currently reading, I'm on chapter 6 of the first one. So I'm one of those people who likes having all the books in the series, slowly accumulating all the books in the series. but I want to have them. I want to be able to have access to them right away or as soon as I can, because I went through years of where I didn't do that. I got tired of waiting, and then I wouldn't remember what happened in the last book, and I was too lazy to reread the first book, the previous book. So, and I think that might have been part of the problem with Stephen King's The Dark Tower. I got this one. This is Rise of Empire by Michael J. Sullivan, and I don't know how to pronounce the name, but the whole series, the Rhaenyra Revelations. I don't know, but I'm really liking it so far. It's really fun, and I really like the two main characters, Hadrian and Royce. I think they're so snarky and just adorable. And for the first time, I'm reading a book about characters that are older than me, and I could actually legally like them, be attracted to them. Because there's some I read a lot of YA books, and sometimes, I guess that's why I don't have hardcore crushes anymore on YA characters, because I'm older now and they're too young for me. But, yeah, and also I like reading adult fantasy that has more to the story and stuff. But I still like YA. They're still fun, and they're easier to read sometimes than, although this book is not that hard to read. But anyway, and I also got, which I started reading. I read a little bit before I left. The first book is Kings of Wyld, which is basically these group of guys, these old guys who, when one of them, they're retired mercenaries, and when one of them has his daughter has been kidnapped, so he gathers the guys together once again. And I talked about this in my February, but tentative February TBR. And they go searching for his daughter, and I think this sequel is about his daughter and her adventures in her own group of people, her own band. And again, this is another book that Just Reads Books really loved, and she talked about the first one, and she really enjoyed the second one. So, and like I said, I've been looking for more adult, more mature fantasies, that have so much more in them. So I bought this. And then yesterday, the two books I bought, I'm almost to the end. I only got 4 books left to talk about. So yesterday, I bought 2, there was, of course, a sale, buy one, for the January sale was buy one novel, get one free. So I ended up buying once, I think I bought 2 more. I don't know which one's here. I don't know which one's here or part of that. I don't know if I already showed them to you guys or I forgot to show you them and I don't remember which ones they are. But I know I bought 2 more the other day. I don't know, amongst this pile. So the 2 books, City of Light. Now, this might be the same one that I saw the hardback version of it, and I almost bought it, but again, it was a hardback, and hardback is still, still more than paperback. It's still $4 or $5. So I have to sometimes exercise some restraint. So, but I think this one is the same book, because I think it's the same title, City of Light. It takes place in early 1900s, 1905, and it's about this woman, Louisa Barrett. It's about her life in Buffalo, and she discovers evidence of a murder, and I think it takes place in, not Buffalo, New York, but I think Buffalo, Canada, because it refers to Niagara Falls, so I think that this might be Canada. And then there's another death that happens. So I guess it's kind of a mystery and a detective story, which I recently hauled a story that I realized was a detective story, but I realized it was one of those detective mystery series, where, there's more than one book, companion series, so I probably could have read, I'm trying to decide if I should go running. Well, I'm almost done, so I might want to go when I'm done with this summer. I want to get ready to go running. But in the other book I bought yesterday was, so it kind of, and plus if it says the 1900s, that's kind of that's a I can't remember what I can't remember what people say. I guess a trigger, maybe. It's the thing that, you know, when someone, it's if it's in the book, if you know, then it's the one thing that gets you interested in the book. Like a certain trope that you love, or like a certain, you know, or the book has a certain setting that if a book is set there, then you'll always read it, or something. Like there's always, everybody has that thing that will lure them to a book no matter what. And I don't remember what that term is, but if, like, one of mine is 1900s. I love the 1900s. And last year I went through kind of a Paris phase, or France phase, where like I wanted to read all the books that I had that take place in France. But some of them I got rid of already. But anyway, yeah, so this is a murder mystery set in early 1900s in Canada, I think. And then this one you might be familiar with. This is a famous sci-fi book. And I think the movie, and I think I've seen bits and pieces of the movie. And I recognize the actor who played the lead. But, he's one of those guys that's cute, handsome, likable, but he's not the guy I would want to picture while reading this book. And that is Dune by Frank Herbert. And this is a very famous sci-fi. It's called Science Fiction Supreme Masterpiece. So it takes place in a desert. It's about this boy who he's avenging his family who were betrayed. Something like that. Like, I guess a revenge story. And I guess it's called Dune because of the desert, because it's set in the desert. But, it's just gotta be so horrible to be traveling in the desert. But, yeah, it's a famous sci-fi, it's a famous sci-fi book. So I thought, you know what the heck? I'm gonna check it out. I'm getting more into sci-fi, and I want to read more sci-fi, so I'm gonna read this one. I like Star Wars. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Star Wars in a way. Or like the movie that kind of spoofed Star Wars, Spaceballs. So, and then last, I'm almost done. Hopefully this video isn't too long and I'm basically talking, I'm basically have to delete this video. Okay, so the two I ended up deciding on today were the third book in the Rhaeria Revelations. This is the third volume with Heir of Novrón. And so I really am enjoying this trilogy. Like I said, I love the two main characters. Of course, the third main character, the other guy, the prince guy, I want to punch him in the face sometimes. Other times I kind of like him and feel sorry for him. But I still want to punch him in the face. But I do like Hadrian and Royce as main characters. But I'm sure I will eventually, by the time I get to this book, I will probably like the prince character. But this is the third book, and this is one of those situations where it's like, every time I think I see it, and I'm like, oh, I'll get it next time. And then I come back and it's not there. So I'm like thinking, okay, I need to jump on this and get this. I finally bought it today. So I have all three books now. So I'm done with the series. Well, not done with it, but I have the whole series now. And then the last one is, like I said, I kept mentioning Renegades, and this is the sequel to Renegades. I don't know if this is a series, if it's going to be a duology. I think it's going to be a trilogy. I think the author decided to write one more book. And this is the sequel to the first one, Renegades, which is basically about superheroes and supervillains. And it's in a world where superheroes are kind of, it's basically if the Avengers were running things, like they were running the government, and you had their arch enemies, the supervillains. They didn't like how things were going because, and they believed that these guys were just too controlling and had too many rules and just were allowing the people to rely too much on them. So and what ends up happening, so in that particular series we have our main character, let me see if it says in the back of this one, our main character, I forgot the graphic novels, I totally forgot about those. What is her name? Dang it, what's her name? Nova. Okay, so the first one we don't find out. So that's kind of, well, I kind of let myself get spoiled here, but I guess, yeah, okay. So, but anyway, not the direction I thought it was gonna go. So anyway, so we have our main character Nova, that when she was a little girl, her parents were killed by one of the anarchist gangs. So she has always been told by her parents that the renegades will always come. They'll always save the day and help them. But they ended up not doing that when her parents and her baby sister were killed. So Nova is collected by the most feared anarchist, Ace, who she thought was her uncle, and he takes her and he raises her, and she ends up believing that the renegades are the enemy, and that the anarchists are her family. So she trains with them, and eventually comes up with the identity of Nightmare. And then finally, when after a failed mission to kill the leader of the renegades, Captain Chronium, since the renegades have never seen Nova before, her other kind of foster uncle sends her to go infiltrate the renegades and spy on them. So she creates this new identity of Insomnia, and but then she ends up kind of falling in love with it hasn't really gotten to love at that point, but she starts to really like one of the members of the renegade, who is the adopted son of the captain and his lover, and that's Adrian Everhart, who is known as Sketch because he has the ability to make drawings come to life. So it's basically all about her, and then as she's actually starting to spend time with these people, with Adrian and all the others, and she's beginning to see, she still doesn't trust the renegades, but she's beginning to kind of bond and connect with Adrian and his team, and realize that not all of them are bad guys. So I'm almost done with that. And right now she's on this very, and she's now basically caught in the middle between her family, the anarchists, and the renegades, because she's, like I said, she's starting to actually like them. So I decided, I want to get this because I'm almost done with the first book. So let me go ahead and finish the first book, and then I also, because I can't help it, almost every time I go to the bookstore, I have to buy a bookmark, and I'm not a big fan of the tassels, the bookmarks with the tassels, because they tend to fall apart. Although some of them have really cool, they have pictures of some of my favorite shows, but I like these bookmarks. And this one says, "I would challenge you to a battle of wits, but I see that you are unarmed." I thought that was really funny. I have quite a few of these, and I really like them because they're not tassels, so they don't come apart as easily, and they're wood. And I feel like those paper ones with plastic on them, as nice as they are, because they have, beautiful pictures on them, they're more fragile, I feel like. Okay, so I might just skip running today, even though it's sunny out, because it's no longer sunny, it's getting dark, so I might just skip it. I mean, I walked when I went shopping today, so, and I think by Friday, and I can always go tomorrow, so. But yeah, so I liked what this one said on here. So that is all that I got in January and December. Possibly some of them might have been November purchases, I don't remember. But would love to know what you guys got this winter so far. If you liked this video, be sure to give a thumbs up and click subscribe if you liked it and haven't already, and click the bell icon below if you are interested in knowing when I post new videos. And as always, I hope you all are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye. Okay, let me see this one.